Thanks for staying with us. Following the continued activities of terrorists in Nigeria, the federal government is considering a ban on the use of motorcycles, commercial motorcycles, known as Okada, and even mining activities in the country. The Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, said the measure would cut off funding of terrorists and bandits in Nigeria. What are your thoughts? You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So Nigerians are asking the federal government to take drastic actions, because you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. It's insanity, they say. So the federal government is introducing new measures, one of which is, let's ban this thing called Okada. Because many of these funders, many of these ransom takers, all these kidnappers, this is what they're using these monies for, buying Okadas, shipping them in, and cutting that source might help reduce terrorism. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree, or do you think it's too drastic a measure, considering the fact that there are many people who are poor, and this is still a necessary commodity for Nigerians using to get around?
Yeah, Nigerians had other jobs that they were doing to earn a living before the influx of Okada. And we don't have a problem with Okada because Okada has come to, alleviate the stress of trekking for most people, especially in those areas where there are no good roads, the taxi cabs are not able to enter, the buses are not able to enter those very interlands. So the bikes, we've used them as, a way to make life easy for the average Nigerian. And I understand that it's difficult to let go of what you're used to, and that's why a lot of people are clamoring, no, don't stop the bikes. But look around us. Look around the environment. You notice that the bike men have changed. The bike men are not the bike men we used to have back in the days. You would take a bike now, you will speak your language to the bike man, you know where they lived, you knew them as part of you, elderly men, as part of society, elderly men who just wanted to do something to earn a living, you knew them. That's not the kind of bike men we have now. We have, if you ask me, almost strangers who sometimes do not even speak your language in the whole country. They are total strangers. The recklessness of these bikes, because they do not even understand the traffic rules. The other time I was driving, I was trafficating, I saw this bike man. Before I realized what was happening, the way he ran into my car and broke his leg. And before I could say jack, my vehicle was gathered. There were over 40. It was the police that saved me. The police just said, let's go to the station, madam. I'm so happy that we saw you immediately. They would have dealt with me. He slammed into me and broke his own leg. I paid, though. I paid for his treatment. That's how the bike industry that was supposed to be a way of, some of the men that were driving the bikes before were people who had left their jobs, some had retired, just something small to just drive around and come back. That's not what we have now. That's one. The insecurity, these men are using it as a front for the criminalities that happen. Come to places like Lekki, you are walking, your bag is snatched from bike men. They snatch your bag, they commit all sorts of atrocities. They hide, we see in the papers, they hide ammunitions in their bikes. So if the government wants to fight insecurity, this is a step in the right direction. They are saying, how do we cut off these people so that we are doing it holistically? Right. So while we are trying to find a way to go into the bushes and raid them, which they have not started, and I have a problem with them not starting, even after the Tucano jets and everything, I want to see more of that. Let us also find a way to cut them down from a lot of people coming in from different countries to come and ride bike here. Men used to go into the farms those days, and I understand that insecurity is stopping them from doing that, but there are other jobs they can do. They can learn carpentry, they can learn, all these menial jobs that they can do. Plumbing.
All right, let me come to Tokwe, because she said something which was interesting. I mean, that many of these bike riders are strangers. Interestingly, I've been living in my house right now for over 10 years, and I didn't realize that my security guard, who I thought was from I thought he was from somewhere in the north. I just found out 2 weeks ago he's from Ivory Coast. I never knew it was from Ivory Coast. I thought he was speaking Hausa. I mean, I just used to think, I don't speak Hausa, but I thought he was Hausa.
Wow.
It was just 2 weeks ago. And I said, I speak, I'm from Côte d'Ivoire. I'm like, what?
What are you doing here?
Like, LA. So, they're strangers.
Strangers.
He's been living in my house. And I thought he was Nigerian. I can't ask him, abroad, if you're from you're thinking, how did you get in? Your passport? Do you have your state? Do you have your... I don't even want to ask this one. How did you enter?
They just thrown into the country.
They just thrown into the country and they're here living.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this?
So, that side is very worrisome. The fact that it's not just... You see, we need to start dealing with Okada challenge for the other crime part of it. Not just the fact that they steal, but the human trafficking part of it. The same way we bring in house girls from some country, from Plateau or from Niger State or somebody from Calabar or from Cotonou. That is how they bring in Okada riders. So the people that have money will buy like 20 bikes. And then they will not go and recruit, not proper like recruitment. They bring people like their house boys and bring them in. They ride the bike, come back and just sleep. Not like you, there's no house, there's nothing. They just sleep on the bike. They just sleep in a place provided for them. Everybody just sleeps together. The next day, jump on the bike again and start going around. Sleep on their bike. There's an industry around it. Now, we are facing we're in a guerrilla warfare. It's not that you cannot fight. This is not conventional. You don't know your enemy. You are fighting an unconventional warfare. You must start thinking unconventionally. You must start approaching it in an unconventional way. So how am I going to deal with this crisis? There are countries in this world that they didn't used to have firing squad for corruption. Countries had to put in policies.
Yes.
If you are caught as a corrupt person, we will kill your wife. Both of you will die. Because they were going to deal with a specific problem that they knew ordinary eye cannot solve this problem. So we are dealing with corruption. We are dealing with robbery. We are dealing with kidnapping. We are dealing with banditry. We are dealing with people saying 40 bikes came in.
Influx.
And they were all carrying... 100 bikes came in. All of them carrying AK-47. That is what we're dealing with. People can escape when you are still trying to load diesel into your truck at the police station because they are rationing diesel. Okada has come in, kidnapped, gone out. So what we're dealing with requires a different approach. And it is going to be extremely uncomfortable for everyone dealing with the issue. Yeah. Now, the challenge for Nigerians are, when we hear any government policy, since we don't trust our government, we don't believe in the sincerity of ability to enforce it long-term. Following through with that policy. So it sounds nice. I'm liking the sound bites I'm hearing. But I'm wondering, can they do this? Would they do it before elections because they know that it can affect the election? Would they be willing to... Would they follow through or would they do it for like a week or two and then they'll say before election they will relax?
Let me hear Nima's thoughts on this. What do you think? Because I hear those arguments and I also remember that there are people who genuinely do this business.
There's no other way.
They do this is their only source of livelihood. So do you think it's fair to do a total ban or to find some kind of other way to solve this problem?
Like I said during the newspaper review, it's a solution that they're looking at. So it's a welcome one. And I think that they're not even looking at us in the cities when they're talking about this. They're looking at the interiors, the villages, like the turbaning of that Fulani Seriki. They came in bikes, and so they know what they're looking at. They're looking at cutting off sources of funding for terrorism. They're looking at suspending mining. These are things that happen in those areas where we have major insecurity. Before we reach here, where they are talking, they're not talking about us here and the level of bikeman abuses that we have here. They're talking about those areas. And so for me, in those areas, before it now became a mode, the kidnap of the Dapchi girls, the terrorists arrived on their bikes. They came in like 400 bikes to one area. That didn't used to be how bike men rode bikes. Everybody did not have a bike. So you could trek. When I served, I was posted to Kogi State, Kaba. And sometimes when I was leaving camp, you could trek for hours to get to the park. And I was almost trekking for that long until I saw somebody returning from the farm with his farm product and a bike. That's the level of biking that they had. So I'm saying they must use sense to do it. For some people in those interiors, that is how they go to farm and bring back farm products. So when we are saying total ban? Are we creating alternatives? Are we saying this is how you will now transfer farm products? In the olden days, my grandfather had a Land Rover. Everybody would rent it. They would go and to their farms to clear things. Are you looking at easing people's lives? Or are we saying total hardship to everybody while we in the cities who are making the policies are riding cars and we're not farmers? So I don't want us to do it from a selfish point of view, but it's a need, just as BC said, that we must do, because they said we don't want to fight the insecurity. We are not ready, but let's be complex in our thinking. Let's think it through and find alternatives.
Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We'd like to open our phone lines to get the viewers' thoughts on this possible nationwide ban. It hasn't been approved yet. It's still being discussed. We'd like to hear your thoughts. You can call us on numbers on your screen, 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. So we heard the different sides of this story. But there's still that angle of total ban, especially like in the cities, as you said. But in the communities, in those areas that are not as busy, this is what people... So we need to also understand the modus operandi of how you plan to ban. Do you need to do it in phases? Is it going to be a drastic ban once and for all? Or how does the government... We're not sure. They're not giving us a blueprint on how they expect to do it. But what do you think is going to be the best option on how to go about this phase, this banning?
The level of enforcement. So this is not the first time we see National Security Council come out of a meeting and give resolutions. And one of such resolutions they gave in the past was the president's clear directive that shoot at sight. Any wakai, anything. You know, till today, they're not shoot anything. They're not shoot bed. They never shoot. So we are afraid that this is a lip service order. If you want to enforce something like this, the first place of call is the ports. Ban the importation because we don't produce bikes.
Exactly.
Ban the importation of bikes. Before you maul up all the ones that are already walking everywhere, stop the importation of bikes. Close the borders and say we no longer allow this form of transport and importation. But you see, these same people will come with an empowerment plan and they'll be giving out bikes. So how exactly do you plan to do this? Are you just going to come out and say this is what we are doing? But that of the suspension of mining activities, that one is inside your hands. And so we should not be doubtful about how you will enforce it, except you yourself, you are not serious about this issue of insecurity. And we've seen too many, precedents to not have a trust in the readiness of the government to fight this. So I just hope that there's not pre-election.
I have Grace from Abuja. Good morning.
Hello?
Grace from Abuja, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So I just wanted to comment about this because I remember that once I had to move to Lagos, and I was staying in around Ojodu, Bega, thereabouts. And I realized that one of the things that was very that was obvious was having bikes around that area. So I'm thinking one of the reasons why there were bikes obviously was because having cars, pass through that area was a tough one. The road itself was bad. I was staying in Olowo Kere Street, which is quite close to Abuja, and it was very tough because I can't wear...
Grace? Hello, Grace? I think we lost that call. Network here.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that I want to believe that this ban, whether it's called total ban or not, is just for commercial activities. For instance, in the villages that, like you mentioned, they would not say that individuals who use their bikes to get to the farm will not be able to have that access. And I also want the government to make it very plain so that people understand where they fall in. Yes, that's one. But two, the issue of insecurity has eaten so deep into the society, and Nigerians are not feeling the government's sincerity in fighting this. Okay. As if we just want to gloss over. You want to pick from the top. You are not looking at the root cause of this insecurity. You are not trying to fight it from ground, uproot it. You know, you have mentioned over time, and I will keep saying it here till these governors come out and list the names of the sponsors of these terrorists. They have promised us, we know them, we know where they gather, we know where they meet. Until today, we have not gotten anything. Some people have said that we know where they stay. Some villagers have also said that we know these people, we know where they stay. We have pointed them out to security operatives to go in there and get them. But it seems like nobody wants to work. It seems like the government is, you know, just trying to do this as a cover and leave the real issue. Because, see, this is just a means of transportation for these people. If you take it away, they'll find another means. There are the waterways. There are different ways they can come in and do what they need to do. When the militants were operating, how were they coming? It was through the water. They were not using bikes. So these people are, you know, like, yes, they will always find a way. So let the government not just focus on, let's ban the bikes. Maybe then they will stop coming in bikes. And then you're not going deep. You're not fighting the people who are supplying them these ammunitions. You're not fighting the people who are paying them. You're not curbing a banditry where they are getting money to fund themselves. And you think this will work?
Well, let's see. Because, I mean, I would like to assume that they're doing these things simultaneously. I would like to assume, although they have not even given us the names we've been asking for years.
Yes.
I would like to believe, as you're an optimistic Nigerian, that as they're fighting behind, they're also saying, these bikes are aiding these criminal elements. So let us also nip it in the bud. So I'm hoping that's what they're doing.
So, but, you know, when we're talking about what we're trying to deal with is banditry, you know, we're trying to deal with the insecurity challenges. We're trying to deal with terrorism and kidnapping. And in trying to deal with that, we must look at all the things that fund them, all the things that support them, all the things that let it thrive. Part of which is that we don't really know who is a Nigerian in Nigeria. Like, we don't, it's only when you have a passport or maybe names you used to know yourself, by which that your security man can go and register for names and claim that he's from Kineko, and they will register him. So we really need to start having data. Who are the people that are Nigerians? When we say, like in the farm in Ogbomoso now, our farm in Ogbomoso, the security men actually need bike to traverse the farm. They cannot go, they can't leg the farm. So they need to use a bike. So they have the watchtower, they see what's going on somewhere, somebody is stealing the cashew, they will use their bike to get there in time. So the bikes are actually essential. But if we can register everybody, you know, we have data of every bike has a number. Every number, we know the person, we know where they stay. If we can start accumulating data little by little, we can get there.
I'd like us to pause. You want to say something? Let me just say very quickly.
Bobby of Lagos says, these same bandits also move in Hilux trucks. If they can ban bikes, they'll just get more vehicles to aid their atrocities. Or would the federal government ban Hilux trucks too? When Lagos State government banned bikes in Lagos, I know 3 people who were robbed in one day because their bikes were gone.
I also know people whose life were saved because the bikes were gone. Either way, so we can't have a perfect system. People are going to have to, something have to give. But the truth is that we want the government to fix this problem. If they're offering a solution, we hope it's not just, it should be holistic. That's pretty much what's in a nutshell. I have to pause this conversation because, as I said, it's still a suggestion. I don't like us to go on this nice conversation on this what government is just suggesting. Until then, they make it a law, and here we can discuss it. But right now, let's hope that they are serious about these suggestions that they're putting forward. Let me go on a break. When we come back, there's another topic that really cut deep because it affects young girls in FGGC or your state. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.